Hello everyone, today we're going to look at usaco-training zero sum. Okay, so in this problem we're given a number n, which n is a number from 1 to 9 in increasing order. And then there's basically a space in between each of these digits. And we either insert a plus, a minus, or a blank. And then we're going to try to find the number of combinations such that they produce a zero sum. Okay, so it's easier to look at the input. So we're given n equals 7. So the numbers would be from 1 to 7. Okay, so then as you can see, the first combination would be inserting a plus over here, minus, plus, minus, minus, plus. And the when you evaluate this expression, this would be equal to 0. Because it would be equal to 1 plus 2, 3. 3 minus 3, 0. Plus 4, 4, minus 5, negative 1, minus 6, negative 7, and then plus 7, 0. Okay, so let's look at this case. So as you can see, there's a space in between here. So the space basically just means that you combine the two digits that are adjacent to it. So then this thing would become 23. So then this would become 1 minus 23, so this would be negative 22. Plus 4, which would be negative 18, plus 8, negative 13, plus 6, negative 7, and plus 7 would be equal to 0. So then we just print all the possible sequences. Okay. Oh yeah, so n is in the range from 3 to 9. Yeah. Okay. So as you can see, basically, let's just consider the worst case where we have n equals to 9. Okay, so you know that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. Okay, and over here you basically have three choices because you can choose either plus, minus, or blank. Let's call this space or blank. So basically over here you have like three choices for each of these or each of these spaces in between. So notice that if we can actually apply brute force to this problem where basically we try to add each digit while maintaining the string, which is either plus, minus, or b. So then, since there are at most eight spaces, and each option you have three choices, and the overall runtime would be 3 to the 8th, which is pretty small. Okay, so now basically, let's just say we generated a script. Let's call this 1 plus 2 plus. Let's actually okay. So let's just take this from the sample. So we have 1 minus 2, 3 minus 4, 5 plus 6, and 7. Okay. So then this first thing we need to do is to make it into 1 minus 2, 3 minus 4, 5 plus 6, 7. Because the blank in between here means that we merge the digits that are next to it. So then basically how do we do this? Okay, so basically as we loop through the string, we actually keep track of what we have so far. So for example, let's use red. So we start at 1, okay? So right now what we currently have is 1, okay? And then when we reach a minus, you basically add whatever value you have so far. So then what you do is that you just add 1 to the result. So then you have 1. Okay, so then you see the minus, so you know that the next number you have to subtract it. So you just keep track of the symbol. Okay, so now you reach 2, okay? So now your current value would be 2. Okay, and then you reach a space, so then you just multiply it by 10 or just shift it one time. So you see 3, and then your value would be 23. Okay, so and then you see a symbol which is since this is minus, so you would just subtract, since that would be your symbol, so then you would subtract 23. Okay, and then you see that this is a negative symbol, so you just keep track of that. And then you see 4, okay, so then your current number would be 4. And then as you can see here, this is a space, so you just shift it one more, so this would become 40. Okay, so now you see 5, and then you would again add 5 to your current value, so then it would become 45. Okay, so now you have a plus. So then, since that's in like operation, then you just take that. So that would be minus 45. Okay, so now you keep track of 6. Again, you get 67, and at the end you would just have 67. And then you have to make sure this equals to 0. Okay, so that's basically it. Just a little bit complicated implementing it. Okay, so this is 0 sum. Okay. Okay, so let's include bits. Okay, so we're reading in a number n. Okay, and let's call this step for search. So we're gonna DFS. Let's call what we have so far. So what we're going to calculate next is 2. Since we know that the first number always has to be 1, so then 2, and then our string would be 1. Okay. So basically, let's call this void DFS. So let's call this int cur, or int. Let's call this number, and then string. Let's call this s. Okay, so now we're going to try to simulate adding all these numbers. So what we can do is that we can DFS n plus 1 since we're done with n. S plus, okay, so we can try to add a plus sign. S plus, and then we want to convert this to a string, so to string n. And then again, we can do this for minus or space. So now, after we're done like DFSing, since you don't actually want to keep on DFSing, so if n is equal to 9, or actually, okay, so actually it should be n equals to 10, or, oh yeah, it should be n equals to big N plus 1. Then we need to count the value of this. So let's call this int evaluate. Okay, so this should take in a string. Okay. So let's call this int sum or int result. It should be 0 by default. And we should have like a sign. So int sign, it should be 1. Okay. So for int, or for each character, let's call this C and S. Okay, so if it's equal to an operation, let's just say if it's equal to a plus, then you know that your sign would be equal to 1. Okay, because you're just converting it to that. But the thing is that, or what we can do is that, okay, so when we encounter a plus, we're going to try to add the previous value. So then we can have a cur, so int cur will be equal to 0. Okay. So when we encounter a plus, basically our result, we just increment it by our sign times our cur. And then since we're basically resetting it, then we just cur will be equal to cur, or just reset, so then it would be equal to 0. Okay, so else if it's a minus. So then your result, you would again add your sign, this is just like your previous one, and then your sign will be equal to -1 and the current will be equal to 0. Okay, so what if it's a space? Then you just update your current. So your cur will be equal to your cur times 10. Otherwise, your cur would just be equal to your cur plus the value. So then this would be equal to C minus 0. Okay. So now after this, you may notice that for our last digit, let's just say we have 9. Then there may be some value. So then you would just result would be equal to, or just add it by your sign times cur. Okay, then we can just return our result. Okay. So over here, basically, if evaluate s is equal to 0, then we could just append this to our answer. So then we can do is that we can just answer the pushback back s. Okay, and after this we just need to return. Okay, so let's call our answer a vector string. Okay, so then after we dfs, we just for each string in our answer we just print s. Okay, so let's actually test this. Okay, let me get okay, so the input is just 7. Okay, okay, it's still compiling. Okay, so we have 7. Okay, so we have these cases, so I think they look good. So let's just take this. So we have 1 plus 2 minus 3 plus 4. So then this would be 4 minus 5 minus 6. Okay, so that looks correct. So let's just submit this to the grader. This is called zero sum, and the language is C++11. Okay, so let's actually, we have to be from a file. Whoops. Okay, so this dot out right and std out. Okay, so let's actually try submitting that. Okay, so this is this and okay, 1 second. The files are loading. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so let's see. Let's actually compare what we have over here. Okay, interesting. So right now we have 1 minus 2. Okay, so looks like the last ones are different. So then, oh, okay. So I guess we didn't actually sort the things. So we actually have to put them in lexicographically order. So we can just sort begin answer and end answer. Okay, so I think that should make it correct. I guess I wasn't careful enough. Okay, so it looks like that is right. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Bye.